will talk about why leadership and company culture are actually two sides of the same coin. Let me just there. So where I'm working, that's Global Saving Group. That's also Anna already mentioned, right? It's a group of very talented individuals that have shaped over the last year Europe's largest and most trusted shopping reward platform. We empower millions of people every day to make better purchasing decisions. And what am I doing in there, right? I'm the group CFO in there. I started in March, worked in the digital field almost all of my career. I'm a big believer in growth. I love to grow myself and I love to support other people growing. And this is why today I want to talk about some growth topics I have seen over the last years towards leadership and also corporate culture. So first thing first, right? So what is actually driving what, right? So is leadership creating the corporate culture, or does culture create the leadership? So in the end, it's somehow both, right? You can be the person on an island being happy that you can see a boat, but you can also be the person in a boat that could see an island, right? So somehow both comes together in leadership and company culture. And I can tell you that like positive leadership culture, right, has even the power to overcome negative culture. So what do I mean by that? So this is because companies somehow reflect the ethics of the leader that run the company. So the ethical standards that the leader take out become part of the organizational culture. I think a very famous example for that is actually Jack Welch, whose commitment to being the best created a company environment and a company culture for excellence at GE, right? But today you can build this in many fields. For example, also the founder of Body Shop, right? Her passion for environment created a company and a company spirit for environmental lookouts in beauty companies, right? So that's somehow the power of leadership to give company culture a positive spin. I will share now 3 examples out of my experience that are important when you want to drive positive and open company culture. First is engaging with vision. What do I mean by that, right? A boss would tell you what to do. A leader would inspire you want to do what is to do, right? That means if you lay out a vision for people and they buy into the strategy, they understand and create a culture of engagement that drives the company's success. That means people know where the organization is going to, what is the next step. They know which important role they play in this game. I give you an example at Global Savings Group. I already told you our vision is to empower people to make better purchasing decisions every day. So that means that every employee at Global Savings Group knows every day how to balance somehow his decisions and in which direction to go to, how to prioritize the topics, because the main topic is to empower people with the decisions you are doing. It can be your user, it can be your colleague. It's about empowering the people around you to make the best decisions that they can. That is what we mean with engaging with vision. So every piece of the company knows how to act towards the company. The next thing would be leading with ethics, right? And parts of it we already heard also in the panel discussion before, is as a leader, your ethics support your values. So people look at you. They see what you are doing every day. They see how you act. And values are just words. Ethics are actually the actions that you are taking. So when a leader demonstrates values through their action, people can see in which direction the leadership is developing and in which direction also the company culture is developing, and therefore have a good example by lead, for example, and they can create an ethical culture. Also here, I want to give you an example from Global Savings Group, right? The morning after the terrible attack for the Ukraine, in our Slack channel, our CEO, Gerhard, posted that all our minds are with the people that are under terror right now, right? That everybody who would feel in stress, physical, psychological, should reach out, and we will be able to empower those people, right? To come back to a healthy state that they can live in, right? And that we support them. Actually, out of this statement came a group of people within the company that said, actually, we also want to be part of like becoming and doing an action. And what happened afterwards, that is that parts of our meetings room within Global Savings Group were recreated in places for refugees so they can stay in our office while they are in Germany, away from their home, and having a feeling of having a bit of shelter in those crazy times. That is what leading with action means. You give something, you lead with action, people respond to it, and therefore you create company engagement and company culture out of it. The last thing that I want to share today is empowerment and trust, right? There are two requirements I have seen in the past years for success. That is responsibility and accountability. But how do you give people responsibility and how do you give them accountability? That actually happens if you, as a leader, empower people to make decisions that affect their life. Give them the authority to act and take the responsibilities for their requirements and their decisions. And this will create leadership on all levels of the organization. Otherwise, you come to a situation where only one person can decide, and therefore also only one person will take accountability. If you create a net of everybody being responsible and accountable for his decisions, you can be way faster and way more empowering for the full company. A good example again on Global Savings Group for this is our policy towards remote working, right? So during Corona times, it actually was just something like everybody needed to work at home. But for Global Savings Group, we decided that we also want to keep this after coming back out of the pandemic, because we have seen that, like, for some people, we also had this in the pandemic before, it just get easier to partly work from home or maybe to work from another part of the world where you are, maybe your parents are and your parents are sick and you still want to be with the company. So like to find the way of like remote working. But as we can also read in the news, right, not all big companies or big leaders are happy with working remotely. But we believe that like everybody that feels like accountable, responsible for the job that he's doing and the decision that he's taking, he will take this decision and do his job wherever he would work, regardless if he would be working in the office or he would be working at home, because he feels he's part of the full community and he's responsible for the success of the full company, even working from home. So this is actually where I already come to an end, right? Because I think that's already give you a bit of impression, first of all, on Global Savings Group, but also on like how leadership is actually one of the responsible driver for company culture in our days today. Right? And at this point, right, my team also gave me a quick heads up, right? We have a booth, right? So everybody can just check in, look in our open positions, find out more about the company, ask questions, getting to know us more closely. We are very much looking forward.
Thank you very much for this fantastic presentation, Kathrin. Thank you so much. It was really interesting to learn more about your career and some insights that you shared with us. And I just wanted to know everyone in the chat. So if you have some questions for Kathrin, we still have time. And as she mentioned, Global Savings Group, they have a booth. I believe Global Savings Group is already supporting the global conference for the second time in a row, which is fantastic. Thank you so much. And we are happy to have you, Kathrin, with us today and your fantastic team. I see that people are thanking you also in the chat.
Thank you,
amazing.
Anna.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe something that meanwhile, we have time, I would like to ask you. So maybe one piece of advice that you would like to give everyone who is looking to become a chief in tech one day. So what would you give them, as
Mhm.
regardless if it's, chief marketing officer, chief financial officer, or chief information officer? What is that you would love to,
So
you
I
know?
think like I can only answer as a chief financial officer, right? So on that one, I think the special thing about like being chief financial officer in the tech world, you somehow have to live with insecurities, right? So tech world is super agile and things are changing, and not everything is perfect, right? And somehow you have to take pragmatic decisions. And I know that this is sometimes super hard for people that live in the finance world, but I always say that's actually also the fun part of it, right? You can create something, it's not yet there. You can start creating something, you can think it completely new, and then you can find your way around, right? This is like actually what I love maybe the most about my job, that it's not the same thing every day and that I can shape something new that nobody else has shaped before. And I think that counts for most of the tech companies, because they don't come with that much of legacy as like the super big corporates, that who have like some freedom to create your environment. And I think, as it is a women in tech conference, also there is a chance, even to regards to like the leadership tips that I shared, that are actually something that sometimes come a bit easier if you are a woman, right? You share your vision, you engage with passion, you engage people on working on the empowerment part. And sometimes I have the feeling it's a little bit easier for women to be open, right, for this kind of culture than it was for my male colleagues, right? So it's both, right? So I like the tech environment because I think it's part of like fitting where I professional fit both in, and like also diversity wise.
These are really great tips, and I really love the way you described, uh, being comfortable with insecurities, but at the same time, it gives you creative freedom, because you work
Yeah.
in a tech world and it's so fast moving and it's so exciting at the same time. Yeah, people asking about your LinkedIn profile, and I will drop it in the chat. So maybe
Yeah.
some tips, some career tips. So for everyone who would love to work at the Global Savings Group, maybe one piece of advice, what would like to share.
So like I can only say like from the people, because I started in March, right? So first of all, I can tell you that your interview process will fully mirror the expectations that you will get when you start, right? So that's like very positive thing about like our process. You get to know the important people, you get to know how they work, you get to know the spirit of the company and how we take decisions. For myself, what I love the most, that people are super open for change, right? So whenever they come and you come with certain experience and you say, I have seen this differently, I would like to try, can we do it differently? Everybody's super open for change, right? So you
Nice.
can be a changer mindset and also a growth mindset, right? Saying, okay, I have some experience already, I want to grow it even more. That's actually the mindset that we are looking out for, right? Being up for change and being up for growth. You're at the completely right address with us.
I'm sure we have amazing people today with us who have that mindset. So check out Global Savings Group. I will also show it now. Jean just shared it also. So yeah, just check it out. Say hi. Don't be shy, because people at Global Savings Group are very open-minded. So we love to hear your questions, and yeah, many thanks here. Fantastic. Okay, very much. Thank you very much. And yeah, maybe something also that I would love to discuss today is one of the things that I think we hear often about company culture, and about belonging at the company. So how was it for you with your previous companies and maybe Global Savings Group? Did you feel right ahead that this is the place you want to work for? Did you feel like that's the place that you belong? And when do you know that it's time to move on?
Yes. So my mantra is always love it, leave it, or change it, right? So actually, I'm like, I always feel within the interview if I would fit in, right? I'm like always basing my decision on like the people that I meet and like if it like fits to what I would like to grow in over the next years, right? So that's my first advice, right? You really use your interview process, right? Most people are like super scared in the interview process and just like want to make sure that they are presented the same way, the best way. But it's also like about the employer, right? To show his best picture and like ask the questions that you want to know and that are really interesting you. On the other hand, I'm always like the point where I think that I move on is always when I have the feeling I'm in my comfort zone, right? When I have
That's
the
a good
feeling
point. Yeah.
everything is under control and nothing is shaking and everything is perfect, right? I'm always, oh yeah, I think like I need to go out of the comfort zone again, like
Yeah.
because the crazy stuff is happening, right? I always say like
I know that feeling.
the unicorn area is out there, right? It's not happening in your comfort zone. This is always like where I then decide to move on.
Yeah, this is so relatable, I'm also myself like that, looking always for a challenge and for, room for growth. So what you're sharing totally makes sense for me. And let us know, for everyone who's tuning in right now, listening to us, that's something resonating with you. And I think something that you also said about at interview, you already know, and also use your time, not just present yourself and talk about your experiences and how maybe you can contribute to the company, but also ask the questions that you care about, right?
Yes.
To make sure, to kind of also test and challenge the company and to make sure that this is the company where you want to spend years ahead, and the company where it will help you grow.
Exactly.
That's super important. I did really love that we had time for a chat with you.
Yes.
So for everyone who was shy and would love to, to use maybe to drop a note to Kathrin on LinkedIn, I will share her profile right now. Kathrin, it was fantastic to have you with us. Thank you so much for the presentation, and have the great rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.